Welcome to the Female VC Lab podcast. I have a wonderful guest today. Lolita, give me your name, your title, and the name of your fund.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lolita Taub, and I'm GP of Ganas Ventures.
All right, Lolita, what inspired you to become a VC?
What a wonderful question. I think pragmatically, I've always been a nerd and thought about the best things for anyone to do is at the cross section of what the market needs and what your passion, skill sets, and interests, where those lie. And for me, my skill set has always been sales and community. My passion, community, and
Mhm.
interest has always been in technology. And on the last part with market, I think we've been going through some interesting shifts that have brought community at the epicenter of how businesses can leverage a different go-to-market, a go-to-community
Mhm.
to create the unicorns of the future. And as a human, I really do believe in creating community, generational wealth in community. And so that's really at the core of it.
That's wonderful. And Lolita has a wonderful community. We'll talk about that closer to the end. So, what is your investment thesis and what is the motivation behind your thesis?
Sure. So at Ganas Ventures, we invest in pre-seed and seed community-driven companies in Web
Mhm.
2 and Web 3 in the US and in LATAM. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what does community-driven mean? It for me, it has three elements. One is, do the customers of a company identify as members of a community?
Mhm.
And do they have a space where they come together and create value for each other?
Mhm.
And three, the most important part is, do they kick off the marketing and sales flywheel? So this is where
Okay.
we go from go to market to go to community. And what it means is you have an engaged community that loves to talk about your product, it will get the word out, but it has so many other use cases and benefits. I'll give you an example I think everyone loves to talk about is the Peloton community. They're
Yes.
very informal
Very
and
big.
very big. And anyone who has a Peloton is always telling you how you should buy one. It's like they're selling
Yes.
them, but they're not. And that's an example of the power of community. And then in terms of the motivation behind it, there's in venture capital, we're all after where do we find the alpha? Where do we
Correct.
find that investment, the investments that will create these huge returns for our investors and for ourselves, because it
Yep.
is a hustle to be an investor. So that's at the core of it. But for the founders, it's a great way to reduce customer acquisition cost,
Mhm.
increase lifetime value. And with the talent pool that exists and how hard it is to find the right people, recruiting is also another benefit. And just along the way, having your community give you feedback on the products and services that you are building, it's
Yep.
just a gold mine. It just helps you build and grow your business a lot more easily than not having a community.
Very true. Very true. And you create a lot of synergies in a community. I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you brought up the additional resourcing that occurs when you have a community. We always think of just the monetization, but there's those non-monetary things that occur, like maybe you find a partnership or maybe you help grow your team or like you said, other recruiting. It's really important. Or just, hey, I'm having this issue in my company. Can you help me out?
You just
So,
put it out there, you
mhm.
ask, and people will come and support you. And I think one thing that's even outside and what makes this so magical is that there intrinsically is a unifying vision, mission, alignment. And
Yep.
with the times where we are, right, outside of just market needs of understanding how do we create the best businesses that scale the fastest and so on with the lowest cost, et cetera. There's also this portion of what's happened in the world with COVID, with George Floyd,
Mhm.
with social movements, with everything that's happening, that there
Yep.
is a sense of loneliness. We don't want to be lonely. We don't want to be a transaction. Who wants to be a transaction? We want to be more engaged. We want to know that we're meaningful, that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And community driven companies create a space for that. And
Yes.
outside of solving problems, it also gives people an extended family, online, sometimes hybrid, where
Mhm.
you can belong. And that's very powerful and very meaningful as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. So, what are you currently learning or listening to or reading these days?
Sure. As I mentioned before, I'm in Santiago, Chile,
Yes.
and I have one more week left. So I've been just gobbling up all sorts of things that are happening in the ecosystem and meeting with people here. Just incredible folks. What an opportunity is to invest in Latin America. Ganas Ventures, they've been called the YC of building
Mhm.
relationships with them. They're wonderful human beings. But I'm starting to look at and read about the next country that I'm moving to, which is Argentina.
Oh,
And
wow.
what's super interesting there, yeah. So my husband and I are moving to Argentina that at the end of this month. And one thing that's been really interesting is reading about the Web3, the crypto
A
ecosystem.
lot happening in
That's
there.
a lot of stuff is happening in Buenos
Argentina,
Aires.
El Salvador,
All
Colombia. They have a lot happening in LATAM in that area.
Yep. And but it's just the right formula when you think about the instability of the financial ecosystem
Mhm.
globally. But in LATAM, there's been a lot of challenges. And so
Yes.
Web3 crypto presents itself as an alternative to improving the state of the economy and providing opportunity for the community, the population, and the market at large. And I'm reading about that right now, super interested
Great.
in seeing what it looks like on the ground. And yeah, super pumped about it.
Awesome. So now here's the bonus question. Everyone gets it. In 2 years, when we're talking again, but we'll be talking before then. How do you see venture capital evolving or changing in the next kind of couple of years?
I believe that we're just at the forefront of the new face of venture capital.
Yeah, I agree.
There's all of us who are emerging fund managers that come from non-traditional backgrounds. And look, it's just the number of us that are coming to the table building our own funds, venture capital funds. I believe we'll start to see more of us also building family offices and funds of funds
Yep.
and getting more intertwined on the capital side to broaden the spectrum of who gets to be a venture capitalist, who gets to be a GP, and through that have implications on who gets capital. So I do
Yes.
believe that we'll see the needle move in terms of the different types of founders that get funding along that path too, though. And in speaking about LPs, I do believe that there will be a rise of the angel LP, and these are high net worth individuals who are accredited, may not even know it, but are interested in diversifying their investments, learning about potentially even down the line starting their own funds, jumping in, writing checks with a different lens, the kind of lens that we need in order to progress in the VC ecosystem and change the face of venture capital.
Awesome. So, how do people contact you?
Sure, yeah. My second home is Twitter, as you may know,
Yes.
Barbara.
Good.
So you can reach me on
Lolita's
Twitter.
in the Twitterverse. Absolutely.
It's
Very
my
active.
second home. It's my second home. So if you want to catch up with me, learn more about Ganas, if you're interested in becoming an LP, we're inviting the entire community because we really believe in the representation of our LP base being that of the population. And also, if you're interested in rolling up your sleeves and helping Ganas Ventures become the first of many funds, right? We do
Mhm.
want to build a franchise. You're
100%.
invited. And Barbara, you're included too. Yeah, I'm at Lolita Taub, and hopefully you know how to spell that. It's not too hard. It's just how it sounds. LOLITATAUB.
There you go. So thank you so much, Lolita Taub from Ganas Ventures
Con
for
ganas.
Ganas for being my guest on the Female VC Lab podcast.
Thank you, Barbara. It was a pleasure and hope to see you soon on Twitter.
Yes. See you soon.